This is an HBO sports production of a Bob Arum and Don King heavyweight doubleheader. The last time these two arch rivals co-promoted a fight was the Leonard Duran-No Mas rematch in 1980. Tonight's feature attraction is a 23-year-old former heavyweight champion, Mike Tyson. When last we saw this seemingly irresistible force, he was hitting the canvas in Tokyo. Another right hand, and now Tyson seems to be wobbling.
Oh, the uppercut.
What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
It's over. It's over.
Mike Tyson has been knocked out. But first, we'll go back to the future with 41-year-old George Foreman. After a 10-year layoff, Big George has 21 consecutive wins on a comeback trail that up to now has seen him cutting down insignificant timber. He's big and strong, though, and still powerful, and it may well be time to start taking George Foreman seriously. An intriguing heavyweight double feature tonight on HBO. We are live at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, where first tonight you'll see a heavyweight fight in the never-ending comeback of George Foreman as he takes on his first top 10 opponent, Adelson Rodriguez. That bout is scheduled for 10 rounds. Then, former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson returns to the ring to face an old nemesis, Henry Tillman. That, too, a fight scheduled for 10 rounds. We are in the outdoor arena at Caesars, where so many major events have taken place in years past. Duran, Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, Holmes, all the great champions of the 1980s fought at this historic site. Ironically, two who have not performed on the outdoor stage at Caesars are Tyson and Foreman. And tonight, for the first time, this arena opens up in a carnival atmosphere for two non-title fights. The eyes of the world, nevertheless, focus here on this ring and on two heavyweight fighters as they try to resurrect their careers. Hello again, I'm Jim Lampley, and we welcome you here for a heavyweight doubleheader which says a great deal, pro or con, as you may choose, as to the state of affairs in boxing's heavyweight division. And on a weekend when the NBA playoffs are no longer ongoing, and when many of you sports fans might be looking for something a little more pulse-quickening than 18-hole coverage of golf, a little bit higher scoring than World Cup soccer, well, here we are. The last time we came to the outdoor arena here at Caesars, it was a year ago to watch Sugar Ray Leonard in his second battle against Tommy Hearns. Tonight, Sugar Ray wears a tuxedo and works with us. And we look at Mike Tyson up the road a little bit. Sugar Ray, what is it that he will be looking to find out about himself tonight?
Well, the loss that Mike Tyson suffered at the hands of James Buster Douglas was not just a physical loss, but an emotional loss. Who was to blame, Mike Tyson or his corner? That's the big question. So it really doesn't matter who he's facing tonight. I think this is just a reassurance for Mike Tyson himself to see what's left.
So despite the fact that Henry Tillman is not regarded by many as a worthy opponent, odds flirting right now at about the 17 to 18 to 1 level, you think there's still something to be gained for Mike?
For Mike Tyson, the opponent is irrelevant, although from a promoter standpoint, you want someone of name. But this is a big question that needs to be answered for Mike Tyson.
And those questions will be answered in the second bout of the evening, but the first bout. The word comeback weaves an unforgettable thread through heavyweight history. Jack Dempsey was an inactive champion for a 3-year period when in 1926 he met a 3-1 underdog named Gene Tunney. The slick challenger outboxed Dempsey over 10 rounds, and the title was lost. 1 year later, after one tune-up for Dempsey, the rematch in Chicago, Dempsey dropped Tunney in the 7th, but the long count saved the champion. Tunney knocked down Dempsey in the 8th, en route to a 10-round decision. Dempsey refused a third fight and retired in 1928. In 1936, Joe Louis, a 22-year-old heavyweight contender, fought former champion Max Schmeling. The Brown Bomber was knocked down in the 4th and out in the 12th. The meteoric rise of Joe Louis was derailed. But after he won the title, Lewis's 4th defense was against that same Max Schmeling. After 3 vicious knockdowns, it was stopped at 2:04 of the 1st round. Joe Louis held the championship for 12 years. In 1959, heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson fought a 3-1 underdog Swede, Ingemar Johansson. The champion went down 7 times in the 3rd round. At age 24, Floyd Patterson had lost the title, but not for very long. 1 year later, with a lightning left hook in the 5th, Patterson became the first heavyweight champion ever to regain the title. Then Sonny Liston, after 2 one-round knockouts of Patterson, fought an 8-1 underdog named Cassius Marcellus Clay. Clay outboxed the Bear as Liston failed to answer the bell for round 8. 15 months later, the mysterious rematch. Liston went down from a phantom right in the 1st round. In 1970, in Las Vegas, Liston died of a drug overdose. Ali went on to win the heavyweight title a record 3 times. Which brings us to Mike Tyson and his monumental upset loss to James Buster Douglas. Douglas coming back with a left right. Tyson is wobbling. What an uppercut by Douglas. Down goes Tyson. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Tonight's big question, can Tyson come back? Again, we are live from Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, where former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson returns to the ring to face Henry Tillman. It's scheduled for 10 rounds. So many great heavyweight champions have lost that title. Now Tyson takes the lonely journey back into the ring after his crushing loss in February. What does the future hold for this once invincible force? Tonight in this historic setting and in front of an enthusiastic boxing crowd, we begin to get some of the answers. Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson is a student of history. He well knows that all of the great heavyweight champions, with the sole exception of Rocky Marciano, have lost at one time or another. How much consolation is that to him?
Well, if there's any guy that doesn't need motivation, it's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is like a walking boxing library. I mean, he knows about these guys' history. He knows how many guys have regained their titles. So Mike Tyson wants to be in there with that elite group. So I'm sure he's already motivated for that.
He's also one of the most entertaining figures in sport, regardless of whether you like him or not. Because Mike Tyson's life is so densely rich with circumstances and events that it's become our custom between each of his appearances in the ring to chronologue those battles he takes on outside the ring. The period between February 10 and now has only continued the tradition. February 10, 1990. For fight fans, a night to remember. For one fighter, a night to forget. Undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson. The challenger, James Buster Douglas. Another right hand, and now Tyson seems to be wobbling. Mike is not throwing back. Buster Douglas is completely dominating this round with jabs and right crosses.
I wasn't focused on the fight. I didn't apply myself.
And there's a right hand uppercut, and down goes Douglas. As suddenly as that.
Can he beat the count?
He got a little overconfident.
As far as the count was concerned, I thought definitely that the fight was over.
Oh, the uppercut.
What an uppercut by Douglas. Down goes Tyson.
It's over. It's over.
Mike Tyson has been knocked out.
Unbelievable.
Let's go ahead and call it the biggest upset in the history of heavyweight championship fights.
In the beginning, you have so much life, you have so much to give to the world, you have so much to offer, and you want to offer to everyone, you want to show and prove. And then after a while, you know what I mean, you take it for granted, and everything, you try to do everything instinctively, and then you slip.
The heavyweight championship was lost, or was it? 45 minutes after the official decision in Tokyo, there was controversy over the 8th round knockdown of Douglas. The WBA and WBC withheld their recognition of Douglas. Finally, in New York, Mike Tyson conceded the loss of his titles.
I never considered myself a poor loser because I didn't protest. I just gave my opinion on the incident I saw on television. I mean, titles are meant to be won and they're meant to be lost. These things happen.
Shortly after, Mike Tyson went back to the Catskills, to the home where Cus D'Amato had once taken him in.
I never thought about the fight once I was home. Never ever thought about it. But I was just not in the mood to hear like, how you doing? Are you okay? Can I do anything for you? No, you can't do a goddamn thing for me. I'm just over here relaxing. I don't want any company.
Then isolation turned to despair. On February 21, the former champion was back in New York. His sister Denise had died of a sudden heart attack at age 25.
As soon as the fight was over, I hung out with my sister. That's all I was doing. I was hanging out with my sister. Nothing's important in life. Wealth, only thing that's important is health. Everything else is an addition.
After the funeral, Mike Tyson was whisked away to Las Vegas. There he lived a Spartan existence, leaving his home only for 2 hours a day at the Golden Gloves gym. No press, no writers, no public viewing of his workouts. As fight time neared, the door was opened, but in mid-May, the door was slammed shut.
I'm just telling you, no way. Okay? All right.
I didn't go into isolation. Like somebody said, we're not hearing much of you lately. You know what I mean? I was like that before. You didn't hear much. You just blew it out of proportion.
The ex-champion surfaced at 2 multimedia news conferences in New York and Los Angeles. He seemed a kinder, gentler Mike Tyson.
That was a good moment to grab excuses. I got a lot of money to spend before I kill myself. I was 100 to 1 and got my ass kicked, not 100. We create our own stories, regardless what it is. Even if we're not looking for it, we create our own monsters. You know what I mean? I create the guy that likes, to go in there and beat up people and whatever. They take that concept and they put it in a whole different meaning of life, and that's because what I created.
Finally, it was back to Las Vegas, where he was reunited with girlfriend Natalie Fears and a newborn son named D'Amato.
My first priority is him. People say, having a baby, it mellows you out. You get goofy every now and then you see the baby. Yeah, other than that, when you're not around them, it's just totally, you just think about them a lot. That's all I do, I always think about them.
But the fighter's mind is also on boxing. Another late development was the hiring of Rich Giacchetti, longtime trainer of Larry Holmes. Some said it was a reaction to the corner work in Tyson Douglas. The ex-champion disagreed.
Everyone's a critic. Whatever went wrong is because of me. You know what I mean? That's what I keep my, because when it goes right, I always say it's because of me it went right. And regardless if you have the best quarterman in the world, if you can't fight, it's useless.
Many great heavyweight champions have lost the title. A precious few have fought their way back to the top. Mike Tyson likes to quote reggae singer Ziggy Marley, who said, "You don't realize you're making history because you're living it." And here is one piece of history. When last Mike Tyson and Henry Tillman met here at Caesar's Palace in the indoor arena 6 years ago, it was to determine who would go to the Olympic Games. Tillman won that trip. Tyson earned a trip back to the Catskills compound of Cus D'Amato. So much has changed since then. Now they prepare to meet under entirely different circumstances. As HBO Sports brings you the second of our heavyweight doubleheader on this evening, Mike Tyson against Henry Tillman in a bout scheduled for 10 rounds. Tyson's return to the ring And we return to Larry Merchant.
Youngest heavyweight champion, youngest ex-heavyweight champion. The philosopher George Foreman explained it this way: Mike Tyson runs into every wall he sees, meaning if there's a chance to make a mistake, he's made it, seized it, embraced it. But that, of course, is the perspective of maturity. Remember, we all embraced Mike Tyson. We loved him for his youthful aggressiveness, for his exuberance, at least until it turned self-defeating, self-destructive. Well, it then became, the fight in Tokyo happened after that, and what that was the gods delivering a message to him in the name and in the person of James Buster Douglas, an unlikely messenger at that. Mike Tyson now says that Mike Tyson is dead, buried in Tokyo. Is he? We'll see. But the question of whether he's one of those seemingly invincible fighters who stays down when he goes down, or who gets up, won't be answered tonight. He has made a small step by rededicating himself, but he's taking no chances in his opponent, Henry Tillman.
The Watts riots, 1965. Anarchy in the streets. This was Henry Tillman's playground.
I was scraped from the bottom of the pan, from just a juvenile delinquent in a youth authority in California, born and raised in Watts, come from, you know, basically a poor family, but a strong, sturdy family that stuck with me through whatever ordeal I came face to face with.
And at 21 years old, Henry Tillman was one step away from prison when he was sentenced to 4 years for armed robbery, result of a craps game gone awry. Over the next 2.5 years in the Wayward Youth Authority, his attitude changed. During that time, Tillman became a certified welder, earned his general education degree, and learned to box.
It's a phase that you go through as a child, being raised around those type of environments. Some eventually grow up, mature, and break away, and some never mature and break away.
But Henry did break away, and after only 2 years of amateur experience, made the 1984 Olympic team. Proving all the skeptics wrong, he twice defeated a teenager named Mike Tyson. They first met in the Olympic trial. Tyson scored a knockdown, but for the most part, Tillman fought intelligently and used his jab and footwork to stay away from Tyson's bombs. All 5 judges scored the match for the former dead-end kid from L.A. Then 1 month later at the Olympic box-offs, this time Tyson was clearly more active, and the older fighter seemed listless and detached. Though the scoring was closer, the result remained the same.
From Los Angeles, California, in the red corner, Henry Tillman.
Some ringside observers felt Tyson had gotten job, but nonetheless, Tillman forged ahead to the Olympics and captured the gold medal 4 miles from where he had grown up. At the Olympics, Henry also met his bride-to-be, Gina Hemphill. Granddaughter of Jesse Owens, she carried the torch into the Coliseum at opening ceremonies. 3 years ago, they were married among friends and Olympic teammates.
She's my superwoman, because she had been over backwards for me. She's even put her own career on hold for a little while just to support me in my career.
A career that started out with promise, but quickly nosedived when Bert Cooper handed Tillman his first pro defeat. 8 months later, Tillman was battered by his Olympic roommate, Evander Holyfield, a loss that many say took an irreversible toll. Over the next 13 months, Henry suffered 2 more defeats and hit rock bottom.
And so I said at that point I need to just take some time out of boxing before I either get hurt or just ruin my career myself if I keep going in there not mentally prepared to compete as a boxer. And so I just stepped out of boxing for a minute.
But that minute lasted 20 months. In the interim, he landed a role in the upcoming Rocky V movie, dabbled in the real estate business, spent some time with his family back home in South Central Los Angeles, and most importantly, found himself a new manager, trainer, and friend, a man named Henry Grooms.
He said I would be crazy if I let boxing go right now. He said, you're young, you still have a lot of spunk left, a lot of fight left in you, but you just need to take a little time off, get your management problems out the way, get your mind clear, go home, spend some time with your wife, get into your family life, and just let life move on a little bit, because you're just too young just to let boxing go right now. You've never been hurt, you've never been knocked out, you know. He said this doesn't make any sense.
Maybe life doesn't always make sense. 6 years ago, fresh out of the Youth Authority, Henry Tillman's future as an amateur fighter went through Mike Tyson. He was successful twice and earned the greatest reward imaginable. Tonight, after a long layoff and a resurrected career, Henry Tillman's path to greatness once again leads through Mike Tyson, now the former heavyweight champion. For Henry Tillman to score a hat trick, he'll need to step out of the shadows of anonymity, just like he did in 1984. Now the Olympic heavyweight gold medalist prepares to enter the ring. You see there his professional record, 24 fights. Included in those 5 years, one 20-month layoff from the sport. Maybe the neatest and most compact phrase I've heard to size up Henry Tillman was issued by the outstanding ABC Sports boxing expert Alex Wallo, who said of Tillman, he has the heart of a warrior, but not the chin of one.
Too brave for his own good and his own body.
Of course, that statement was made about Tillman at a time when he was fighting as a cruiserweight at 190 pounds. He claims that he is much more resilient and steadier now as a 215-pound heavyweight.
Tillman would love to relive those 2 amateur losses he gave Mike Tyson, trying to relive those moments of glory.
He's a sweet man who's made something of his life from terrible beginnings. But I'm afraid for this night, he's just a frog being fed to a snake.
Well, on the bright side, he believes, Larry, that he wrote the blueprint for beating Mike Tyson with his 2 amateur victories over him, and that Douglas merely stole a page from the script with his Tokyo exploit.
A lot of people knew the blueprint, having seen those fights, but even forgetting the fact that Mike Tyson is a whole lot different fighter than he was as an amateur. It was only Douglas who could execute the blueprint.
In 24 fights, Tillman has won 20 times, lost 4. He's had 14 knockouts of his own. You heard him say in the profile that he has not been knocked out, but he has indeed been the victim of technical knockouts by journeyman fighters like Dwayne Bonds, in addition to outstanding ones like Evander Holyfield. What must Henry Tillman do against Tyson? What must Tyson do to begin regaining his glory? Ray Leonard's tip of the night.
Well, when Mike Tyson bobs and weaves, he becomes an illusion. That upper body movement allows him to slip, get inside, and to attack his opponents with those devastating combinations. Speed, combinations, and power is synonymous with Mike Tyson. He must get mean, get aggressive, stay on top of his opponents. Now, with Henry Tillman, Tillman needs to box, get inside, throw his punches, and get outside. Stay out of harm's reach. Don't fight Mike Tyson. That's a mistake so many guys have made other than Buster Douglas, who's successful. Don't fight him, box him. Use that ring as much as you possibly can, and you should be able to turn the tables around.
And now you see the Tyson entourage beginning to emerge from his dressing room. One of the new faces there, just behind Tyson, just out of the shot to camera right, is Rich Giacchetti, the longtime trainer of Larry Holmes. Tyson's reign of terror over the heavyweight division lasted 3 years and 3 months until February 10 stateside, February 11 in Tokyo, when Douglas took the title away.
Care of business tonight.
Can't read Tyson's mind here. He doesn't seem quite the eager, intense fellow that he was as a young man, and I guess he shouldn't be. He's not 18, 19, 20 years old anymore, but I think I see a more mature Tyson who wants to take care of whatever business he has tonight.
There are some who say, incidentally, that the left eye has never fully mended from the beating it took from Douglas in Tokyo. And as you look at that close-up shot, you can see what appears to be some discoloration under the left eye and some puffiness around the outside of it. Now, Ray Leonard, 4 months have passed. Is it possible that eye hasn't fully healed from what Buster Douglas did with it?
He's had adequate time for that to heal and get back to normal. But I'm sure it depends on the type of training he went through, the type of sparring he went through that made that possible again, the swelling.
And there are a lot of question marks about that because writers and reporters were not allowed access to Tyson's training session to anywhere near the degree that has been customary before big fights like this in the past.
The real challenge for Mike Tyson will come when some big, strong heavyweight comes along who can fold him up in his arms and try to do the things that Douglas did to him. Then we'll find out whether he wants to be a champion of the 90s as well as he was for a brief time in the 80s.
Mike Tyson's record, 37 wins, 1 loss, 33 knockouts. He started his career with the 19 consecutive knockouts before James Tillis and Mitch Green solved the mystery of how to go 12 full rounds with Tyson. Later, Bone Crusher Smith and Tony Tucker did the same thing. But other than that, it's been all knockouts. And mostly his, the one by Douglas. There's a look at Rich Giacchetti.
Yes, that's the new executive trainer in charge of the team. He was really imposed on Tyson. Tyson didn't want him, but finally he agreed to accept him. And there is Eddie Aliano, the new cut man, known as Eddie the Clot Aliano. And of course, that infamous corner treatment that he got in Tokyo, Tyson, this man won't let anything like that happen again.
Tail of the tape for Tyson versus Tillman. You can see that Tillman is much the senior of the two and the taller. Tyson weighing in at 217, and he looked very thin for Mike. Smaller in the eyes of many than was the case at 221 or 222. 71 inches reach as opposed to the 81 inches for the much taller Henry Tillman.
And our punch stat numbers. Interesting numbers there on what Tyson did in his 10 previous title fights, the activity he had. A quick reading of that might tell you, well, Mike Tyson wasn't the same against Buster Douglas. My reading of it is that Buster Douglas didn't let him throw as many punches. He kept him busy defending Buster Douglas's punches. In any event, there you see Tillman's activity in the 2 fights that he lost against Holyfield and Cooper, and you can see he throws a lot of punches, doesn't land a lot because he's fleeing as he throws. And there you see the jabs. Tillman will have to throw a lot of jabs, but the plain truth is he doesn't have anything to worry Tyson about.
Nevada rules again, 3 judges scoring on the 10-point must, and once again the most important rule, if one of the fighters goes down 3 times in a round, the fight is over. Let's go back up to Chuck Hull.
Ladies and gentlemen, the officials are signed for the next bout of the evening by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The judges will be Chuck Giampa, Art Lurie, and Dalby Shirley. Your referee is Richard Steele. The next bout of the evening, a co-main event of the night, featuring 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Introducing, in the blue corner, fighting out of Los Angeles, California, weighing in at 215 pounds, with a professional record of 20 wins, 4 defeats with 14 KOs. He was a gold medalist in the 23rd Olympiad in Los Angeles, California. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Henry Tillman. And in the red corner, from Catskill, New York, weighing 217 pounds. His professional record consists of 37 wins, 1 defeat, with 33 KOs. He is a former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson is a 1-2 favorite to knock out his opponent in the first round. That means if you wanted to make $2, you'd have to bet $4. The over-under is 2.5 rounds, the lowest I've ever heard of. That means you can bet on whether the fight goes past 2.5 rounds or less than 2.5 rounds. here in Las Vegas.
And given the choice of opponents, you have to believe that what the Tyson camp dearly wants for their fighter is one of those 90-second knockouts on which his destroyer reputation was built.
You see what's happening here with Henry Tillman, using the ring, using movement. Mike Tyson, I knew he would charge right at Henry Tillman because he doesn't respect Henry Tillman. But in doing so, he may leave himself open because he's trying so hard to impress. You see the right hand by Henry Tillman. Mike Tyson must be aggressive, but he must be careful, not to rush in there.
Now, question, how much does that remind Tyson of the overhead right that Buster Douglas kept stuffing into his mouth in Tokyo?
Every time that Tillman lands a punch, it reminds him, it brings back that memory. Mike Tyson is a man with conviction. He wants to be impressive. He wants to impress not only himself, but to the critics and say Mike Tyson was beaten soundly by Buster Douglas.
Tillman's idea, move, box, jab, fast combinations, give Tyson angles. All very well and good. What happens when he gets hit?
That right hand of Tillman needs to be close to that chin. You notice when he drops it, periodically he drops it. Now, Jim, he's doing the right thing, Tillman is. When Tyson comes inside, if he's not going to punch, tie him up, break his rhythm.
Solid right hand by Tyson to the body. Tillman staggers backward. Mike goes at him, and Tillman grabs and holds on.
I believe Tillman's going to stand there and try to drop his right hand because he's trying to time Mike Tyson's onslaught. Not that much movement from Tillman now.
Tillman missed with an overhand right. Trying exactly as you said he would to drop it in. Right to the face of Tillman. He grabs and holds on. That one was a bit of a glancing blow.
Tillman now is trying to fight Mike Tyson. He should be doing a lot more movement than he is now. He's allowing Mike Tyson to trap him in the corner.
That'll be enough.
Surprise!
And Tyson rushes to Tillman to help him up, which may not at the moment be the very best idea. There's a huge crowd around the fallen fighter who probably needs a little air. It was a right hand in close quarters to the forehead, and it was quite enough.
The snake always devours the frog. My over-under was 90 seconds. I think it went over.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who are probably surprised by how far it went. Henry Tillman is not known to take a punch very well. He took one really solid blow earlier in the round and a vicious shot to the body. And finally, it was that right to the forehead that was enough.
The question I have as we watch this again, and there is the punch, a high punch on the forehead, the same sort of a punch that knocked out Trevor Berbick when Mike Tyson won the heavyweight championship. The question I have is whether you can sell another doubleheader like this with a combined 6 or 7 minutes of fighting.
Well, if it's Francesco Damiani and Alex Stewart, as appears to be the case in September, those are fighters with better credentials than those of Adelson Rodriguez and Henry Tillman.
This is true, but I'm just curious. I don't know whether you can. I'm not saying you can't sell it. I'm just asking whether you can. We came here for a 2-ring circus, and we got it.
One more look at the Hail Mary right hand. I know I'm going to land it somewhere here. And Tillman never responded at all to Richard Steele's count. And now let's go up to Chuck Hull for the official announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 2 minutes, 47 seconds of the first round. The winner by a knockout, Iron Mike Tyson.
So referee Richard Steele raises the hand of Mike Tyson. There's Rich Giacchetti. A very successful debut for Rich Giacchetti. And here you see the total punches in the round. Tillman landed 4, Tyson 14 according to our statisticians. Not that it makes any difference. If there was any doubt going into this fight, and there wasn't, Tillman landed a hard, clean right on the button of Tyson early in the round. Tyson barely blinked. There's the big crowd standing around. It's been a curious crowd. I think the crowd knew what it was coming for, which was a show, a circus as we've been calling it. There wasn't a lot of high excitement about it, just a lot of high curiosity to see two former champions performing. Go through it one more time. Left jab, bang, right over the right jab. Perfect shot by Mike Tyson. Once again, Henry Tillman, too brave for his chin. Now to you, Jim.
All right, Mike Tyson has joined us now at ringside. Mike, a lot of people thought that maybe you had some questions to answer for yourself tonight. Were there questions in your mind, and if so, did you answer them?
No, I didn't have much doubt on the outcome of the fight. It's just that I was skeptical because I didn't give my best performance. You know what I mean? I had no idea that I knew I was always the same person still. It's just that I was reluctant in the situation and I wasn't professional, and that's not characteristic of me.
How good did this performance feel for you?
Well, it helps, you know, you come back, you got your win, it helps the confidence, but I want to fight often as I possibly can.
How much can you learn from 2 minutes and 47 seconds? There are some who would contend that maybe you should have taken a tougher opponent and stayed in the ring longer.
Well, as you know, like as Ray knows, I'm already an experienced fighter. If I would have went 10 rounds, I was in good shape to go 10 or 15 rounds. I'm already an experienced fighter. It's just that I prefer to be more often active than I have been.
Question, Ray?
Well, I said earlier that, Mike, that you wanted to get this fight over with as soon as possible. Also, you know, there are people that say, well, it's not as formidable and this shouldn't be a problem. I thought it was an achievement because the fact of the matter is, because he was not considered a formidable opponent, that meant your mind had to be right.
And the most, when people tell me that this guy's gonna be a pushover, that's when I worry. That's when I worry. Like Buster Douglas wasn't supposed to be a pushover, not making a big issue of it. By no doubt, I'm the best fighter in the universe, and I'm coming back to regain the title.
Will it satisfy you to come back in 3 months against the likes of an Alex Stewart, as appears to be the plan?
Perhaps 2 months. I'm in great shape. I can fight anyone in the world.
Do you think that you made a mistake in the past by not fighting as frequently as you had in the period leading up to when you won the title?
Absolutely. People, you know, you're put to a claim that all my personal problem. They say, well, he overcame the personal problem. He's still fighting. He's going through the divorce. But it's not the personal problem. It's the aftermath of the personal problem that really catches up because of the activity part. You know, you have to, in our business, Ray knows, you have to stay active. You know what I mean? The situations where he was in, he was dropped. You know what I mean? Active, if he was active, that would never happen. Because, as you know, Ray Lay is the best fighter of his generation.
Did you see Foreman against Adelson Rodriguez?
I didn't watch anything. My main concern was the comment finish of Henry Tillman.
All right, Evander Holyfield is going to get the first shot against Buster Douglas. How much is it going to bother you if you had to wait several more months, perhaps even a year or more?
I'm going to stay active, but regardless of the issue, it's going to be a tough fight. And after the tough fight, the winner got me.
Anything else, Ray?
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you, Ray.
Congratulations, Mike. I should point out that Mike put Ray and me in a little bit of an awkward position tonight because he preferred to be interviewed by us rather than by Larry Merchant, whose custom it would have been to do that interview. Mike made his own choice about that. We didn't feel all that great about doing it. We did our job so that you could hear Mike's reaction to what happened in the bout. Your reaction to what Mike said in the interview, if you heard it.
Civilization rolls on. I thought his reaction was good. I thought the fight he fought was good. He did what he had to do against an opponent he figured to do it against, basically. We got what we expected to get tonight. It's as simple as that. I thought that both fights wouldn't last more than a combined total of 9 minutes, and we didn't get it. And The people here, I don't think they can be unhappy because they can't say they weren't warned.
Indeed, obviously, Ray, there was tremendous public interest in what happened here tonight. Certainly it would appear that way from the nature of the turnout here, how many big stars took the effort to come to this fight, the kind of ticket demand that existed here at Caesars. But once again, you've had a one-round Tyson knockout, and it was a series of events like that which caused promoters and site guaranteers here in the United States to begin to think that maybe it wasn't worth putting up all the money that Mike gets for a fight to have him fight here, and that's how he wound up fighting Buster Douglas in Tokyo. Is the public going to stay as interested in September after what they saw from Tyson and Foreman tonight?
Well, the thing about it, Tyson of the past has always knocked guys out in 1 or 2 rounds. People came to see Tyson demolish a guy in 1 or 2 rounds, and because he was knocked out by Buster Douglas, they thought that aura was gone. He revived it by beating Henry Tillman, and then George Foreman, who comes back at the age of 41 and was able to do what the average man of 41 could never do in their lifetime.
Final comments, Larry?
Yeah, I've been thinking of our interview with Adelson Rodriguez the other day when he told us a very funny man bites dog story. It seems he came back from two months on the road, and the guard dog didn't recognize him and bit him in the thigh, and Rodriguez strangled the dog, bit the dog, killed him, then shot him just to make sure. And so there was a little doubt in my mind. I'm saying, well, are we going to get a man bites dog show tonight? No, dog bites man twice. I'm curious about Mike Tyson in this sense. You know, for a lot of people, Mike Tyson was a hero. Young people, he was going to be their great heavyweight champion, much as Joe Louis was and Jack Dempsey was and Muhammad Ali was. So those people were really shook up when Mike Tyson lost. Whatever we want to say about his character and personality and the antics in and out of the ring and all of that business, they were shook up. And I assume that there's still a residue of hope here, that Mike Tyson will come back and will still be their champion, and that the defeat somehow humanizes and humbles him a bit. And I expect to see that.
All right, that remains to be seen in the future. As for wrapping up tonight's story, as Larry pointed out, the simplest and most predictable of tales, man not bitten by dog, dog bites man. George Foreman goes to 67-2 with the second round knockout of Rodriguez. Mike Tyson moves to 38-1 with the first round knockout of Tillman. A look back. His hands are so heavy that what becomes a knockout punch doesn't always look like one, and Rodriguez goes down. That one was a bit of a glancing blow.
Tillman now is trying to fight Mike Tyson. He should be doing a lot more movement than he is now. He's allowing Mike Tyson to trap him in the corner.
That'll be enough.
Surprise!
Coming up, immediately following tonight's boxing coverage, you'll see One Night Stand, Rich Scheidner, followed by Ghostbusters 2 on the East Coast, and How I Got Into College on the West Coast. All of these programs will be seen in their entirety. And be sure to join HBO Sports in London, England for Wimbledon 1990. We'll take you from the first day of play Monday, June 25, right through the men's semifinals. We'll also have a special highlight show on July 9 looking back at the entire tournament. So join us for unprecedented coverage of tennis's most prestigious event beginning Monday, June 25, right here on HBO. And now for Larry Merchant and Sugar Ray Leonard, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from Las Vegas, Nevada. The executive producer of HBO Sports and the producer of tonight's telecast was Ross Greenberg. This heavyweight doubleheader was directed by Mark Payton. The replay producer was Rick Bernstein. The feature producers, David Harmon and Brian McDonald. The assistants to the producer, Kendall Reed and Kirby Bradley. Production manager, Russell Gabay. And the technical supervisor was George Wenzel. This has been a presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.